Tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and we were talking about the 9/11 ceremony, the president's words yesterday, remembering everyday heroes on United 93. Also, it was interesting, I saw this at realclearpolitics.com. There was ground-level video footage from the day, from 9/11, 2001, at the World Trade Center that was recently released after a series of FOIA lawsuits to release this footage by the government. And, it was chilling, fascinating.
Yeah.
Some of the interviews of these journalists that were on the ground in real time as this was happening. I mean, you see the World Trade Center buildings smoldering before they collapse. Yeah. And then there's instances of people of journalists talking to first responders on the ground, talking to people who had just escaped one of the burning towers. One everyday hero, just to give you a flavor of it, and just so we remember the everyday heroes whose names sort of fade into our memories, but should be memorialized in history. One is a gentleman named Mike Benfanti, who had just escaped the World Trade Center, talked about what just happened.
I had 40 people in there, just an explosion. There's a light flash out my window, my whole doorway to the entrance to my office blew open. My office was freaking out, and I just told them to calm down and get to the center of the office. Everybody was fine on my floor, and we just started heading down the stairs. I heard people were trapped in the bathroom. I ran to the bathroom. It was just blown out. I asked if anybody was in there. People weren't in there. So I started going down the steps. I heard people shouting. I stopped at like 68, and there's a woman in a wheelchair. And I got her in the strapped wheelchair and just carried her down the steps and carried her down 68 floors, man. And then we got lost on the 5th floor. It was chaos. It was just,
what do you work for?
Network Plus communications company out of Randolph, Mass. How do you spell it? Mike Benfanti, Benfante.
It's everyday heroes like Benfante who helped the 60-year-old woman in a wheelchair. And I mean, you see the scenes, and it's it's post-apocalyptic. Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. But it's important to remember, and it's important to remember heroes from who've served our country going back to World War II.
And the Korean War.
I mean, people who have served our country from World War II forward who are still with us, as well as the heroes from our country's founding forward. And one of the organizations that does a great job of that, of course, is Honor Flight. Mary Pettinato is the CEO and co-founder of Honor Flight Chicago. They're making their 88th trip to Washington, D.C. today, and she joins us to tell us a little bit about that. Mary, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
So
excited to be here.
Well, thank you. And so who's
Mary?
Who's on the flight today?
Hi, Amy. So today we have 98 World War II and Korean War heroes who are so excited to join us. We've got Jake Moulter, who was supposed to fly last month but had a fall and had to cancel, and they thought he'd never be able to fly again. He took a turn for the better, and he's excited and waving at everyone, saying, "I'm back, I'm here. I'm so excited that I can fly today." So we've got 15 World War II heroes and 84 Korean War heroes. And, the Korean War was really never recognized. It was called a conflict for many, many years. These veterans cry when we invite them to fly with us. They called it the Forgotten War, and now 60-plus years later, we're finally remembering it.
And it's so special. I was able to go with you guys back in 2011, I do believe, and water cannons greet you when you arrive at Washington Dulles Airport, and it's really a hero's welcome along the way, and even when you arrive back home. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, absolutely. And I should add that I talked to veterans from that trip, and they still say, Amy Jacobson kissed me.
I was wheelchair candy.
Boy, be careful.
So the trip is all about every opportunity that we can to say thank you. From the time we land at Dulles Airport, and there's a water cannon salute, and the veterans just look out the window and see this the fire cannons on either side hitting the plane, and it forms the shape of a V, and it V for victory. It's the highest honor you can bestow on a retiring pilot or a plane. Captain Sullenberger was given a water cannon salute when he retired. From there to police escorts all through D.C. Imagine 5 motor coach buses being escorted by police, and everyone has to pull off the road because heroes are coming. And they look up thinking it's a rock and roll band, and they realize that it's our American heroes. So we go to, Air Force Memorial, Lincoln Korean and Vietnam Memorial, World War II, and the last stop is to see the Enola Gay and the planes that that covered many of our soldiers and from World War II and Korea. And then we get back on the plane, and unbeknownst to the veterans, we've done mail call.
Oh,
just
that's
like they had
so
to be
emotional.
Isn't that the best?
Yeah, and
baby?
they'd ask you if you're a volunteer, if you ever can volunteer. They ask you have to read. Some of them have a hard time reading or seeing the words, so you have to read the letters to them, and it's just waterworks. It's so beautifully written, and just things that people wanted to say to their grandpa or their husband or their dad that they never said before.
One veteran said on last flight, yesterday, I was able to read my own eulogy. He said, my children wrote about how much I meant to them and how much I've imparted to them and the lessons that they've learned thanks to my guidance.
That's awesome.
How lucky can one get?
That's awesome.
So then now they're clutching their mail to their chest, and the welcome home of a lifetime is at Midway Airport. It's Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard standing at attention, saluting bagpipers, and hundreds of people at Midway Airport that are out to say thank you.
Well, and don't forget, also part of that welcome home is the Amy Jacobson kissing booth at Midway Airport.
We'll be up and running this year.
So you have that.
And before we say that, we're going to have to call security. I'm not sure if we can handle the crowd.
Oh,
No,
You guys
exactly.
really get in line,
Sure.
please.
Yeah. There's no question about that.
Well, how can
And
people?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Well, how can people help out and donate to this cause? Because it really is. It's life changing. If you ever can volunteer, it sticks with you for the rest of your life because it means the world to these veterans.
Absolutely. So as far as the most important way that they could help is to donate. We normally have 7 flights per year, and this year we had to cut it down to 6 because we just didn't have the donations to make that 7th flight. So it costs $1,200 to fly one American hero for an all expense paid, everything. There's just nothing that we scrimp at. And any help, $1, $5, $10, anything that you could do to help. We had a little boy, a 6-year-old in the last flight, missing his 2 front teeth that walked up at the end of the day and said, I just got my allowance. Will this dollar help to get my grandpa or someone else on the trip? Yes. So any amount helps.
And I mean, and there's a sense of urgency about this too. I don't mean to be macabre, but not just World War II veterans, but Korean War veterans are getting up in age too, and so obviously 88 trips. You've served thousands of veterans, but there's many more to serve just in the Chicago area.
Absolutely, we have over 1,500 on our waiting list.
Okay,
and the average age is 87, so it's a sacrilege to have any on our waiting list. And with help, we hope to have many, many, many more flights honoring all of our American heroes.
The website again, people can...
HonorFlightChicago.org, HonorFlightChicago.org. And many of our seniors who may be listening can also call us at 773-227-VETS, VETS, or 8387. 773-227-8387.
And the website, again, HonorFlightChicago.org. Mary Pettinato, thanks so much for joining us and for your great work. Honor Flight Chicago's great work. Have fun today and have safe travels.
Thank you so much, both Dan and Amy. And this flight is our 8,000th veteran that we're celebrating.
Wow.
So we've flown more veterans than any other honor flight in the country, and we're quite proud of that.
That's awesome. That's a nice thing to be prideful of here in Chicago. Mary, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Cheers.
And I have to tell you, it is a long day. They pick up veterans at 5 in the morning, and you could travel so many different places. You get home at about 9 o'clock at night, but it is worth it just to meet different veterans. And three of the ones, gentlemen that I was proud enough to wheel around Washington, D.C. have passed away, but they were so grateful for that moment. So if you know anybody, if you have a loved one who's a World War II veteran or a Korean War veteran, please call Honor Flight Chicago and hook them up with a flight. And Mary joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.